We are live.
All right. I'd like to call to order the April 8th, 2025 Columbia Borough Council meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Murphy.
Here.
Councilperson Geezy.
Here.
Councilperson Fisher.
Here.
Councilperson Brigard. Councilperson Stahl.
Here.
Councilperson Kaufman.
Here.
Council President Zink.
Here.
Mayor Lutz.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Did anyone want to offer an invocation? All right. If you'd like, please rise.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay.
Good evening.
Thank you. I am Evangelist Jan Perez from Ashley Tabernacle Church of God in Christ, and I'm representing the Greater Columbia Ministerium. I've been here before, and I know that there's some worshipers here. Amen. I come from a church that we talk back. God is a living Heavenly Father, and we act like He is. So we speak to Him, we show Him our emotions, and we are most grateful. So I asked everyone if they would pray with me in their mind as I call on the Lord to look over us and to keep us. Because some of us, I don't know about you, but I have one of those days when you go to a funeral, it gives you a wake up call and everything else comes in line that it's only minor. But God, I just thank you. So let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for the blessings that you have given us, how you have taken care of us thus far. You are God Almighty all by yourself. And for that, we are grateful. We ask that you look over us, that you look over our family. Every situation that comes up, be in the midst. We thank you, God, for how you've taken care of us and the prayers that you have already answered. For that, we are thankful and we give you glory. We ask that you look on this meeting tonight, every member here, bless and touch them, God, like only you can do. That we don't think with our emotions, that we call on you, God, that you guide us, that we love one another, and that no one would be left out. God, you are mighty. Look over us and keep us. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Eric, would you like to lead us in pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcement of executive session. At the conclusion of the workshop, there was an executive session to discuss legal matters. Are there any additions, deletions, or reorganization of the agenda this evening?
Just item 10B, where it says advertise the 900 to 1000 block Walnut Street CDBG improvements, correct? But it has 900 to 1, but doesn't have the street number.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, 900 and 1000 block of Walnut. Anything else? Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Geezy to approve the agenda. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Citizen comment, non-agenda items only. The first sign up we have is Ethan Byers.
Gotta move the mic up. I'm a little tall. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to follow up on the discussion from the previous Borough Council meeting regarding the Locust Street bus shelter. In that meeting, Sharon Littner asked why the bus shelter was removed and was answered by Mayor Lutz that it was removed by South Central Transit Authority, saying there was an issue with the sanitary conditions of it and that, quote, we talked to them about the conditions and I guess their decision was to take it down. However, according to an email from South Central Transit Authority shared by Columbia Spy the other day, it said, quote, SCTA was contacted by the police chief to request that the shelter at 3rd and Locust be removed due to vagrancy. So I just wanted to ask the mayor, were you aware that Chief Bromer had asked for it to be removed due to vagrancy?
I was aware, and matter of fact, I'm going to read the letter.
Okay.
I was aware that the chief contacted South Central Transit Authority. What the chief said, I'm not aware.
Okay, they said that it was because that he asked them to remove it. Mr. Chief, I suppose, or Chief Bromer, is that correct? Did you ask them to remove the bus shelter?
We had a discussion regarding the issues at the bus shelter. We've had multiple incidents of someone defecating at the bus shelter.
Mhm.
The conditions have been terrible from a standpoint of trash, food left behind. The shelter itself, in speaking with them, we discovered when it's almost 20 years old. It's been neglected.
Mhm.
So I asked them to come out and do a site survey. And they came out, checked it out, and ultimately they made the decision to remove it. But I did reach out to them after having an internal discussion with our management team about the ongoing problems we're having.
Okay, it's just interesting because they said that it was your request to remove the bus shelter, not their
I did
decision.
reach out to them.
But you did your request for it to be removed specifically?
So ultimately they made the decision to remove it.
Okay. Are there any current plans to replace the bus shelter in the future?
We have talked about maybe looking at a different design, something that, or even relocating the shelter. So those discussions have been had, but there's nothing concrete.
Okay, thank you.
The next item we have is Richard Whitson.
Good evening, and I just want, before I go into what I want to say, I thank you all for the progress since September 13th with 122 South 2nd Street in Columbia for getting the place condemned. Now what I'm trying to say is the back window of the house was broken, and I'm afraid through the summertime, there's animals coming in, and then I'm going to have problems with animals. I live at 120. I do have a picture I can show you of the house. I can pass it through and you can look at it.
So we would schedule like a.
Did you speak with anybody in the codes
No.
department? Okay. So I'm gonna need your information then. I can get with you when you're done. But
Okay.
that's the proper channel you wanna go. You wanna call in or come in and ask for somebody from the codes department.
What-
Or come to a council meeting. You're welcome to speak there.
Mhm.
But we need to be aware in order to take care of the issue, so. Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Thank you.
Thank
thank you.
And the next sign up we have is Frank Doutrick.
Good evening, everybody. I live at 1001 Ironville Pike. If I want to dig out past the curb into the street, it's my understanding, and I'm asking so somebody can tell me the protocol. I need to come to the borough, I guess fill out a form, probably pay a fee, and then, I don't know, maybe someone comes out and checks what I want to do, and then I can go ahead and dig. Am I right in what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's the way it follows. So the reason I'm asking is, what does utilities, how do they do it? Do they have a separate system than what
Same
I
way.
have?
No, the same way.
They
They
contact,
contact us.
So what's the fees for digging into the street? Is it the same for the utilities as it is for me?
yes.
Yes.
And the reason I'm asking,
And it's also dependent on the age of the street and the size of the cut. And it's also, And that also determines what remediation has to be done when you're finished.
So the size of the cut determines the amount of the permit fee,
Yes,
correct?
in part.
Okay. And the only reason I'm asking is I can hardly go a block in Columbia where there's not a utility had dug up. And it's just about every other street. And you're telling me that you have that all on record before they do that, they pay their fees? Now don't lie to me, you know.
Jake takes the calls from you.
Jake takes the calls.
I'm only asking because we don't always get the truth when we stand here at the mic. That's how I just tell me, so if I want to play the game, I got to know the rules.
Right.
So that's why I'm asking.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the way it is.
If it's like
I will add, just to be clear, in the case of an emergency, like if a water main breaks or something like
Yes.
that, they don't necessarily have to come in first, but they do have to come in afterwards. So just wanted to be clear on that.
And that's the understanding. And the other thing is if it's a state road, I got to go to the state too.
Yes, yeah.
Do I go to them in the borough?
No, I believe just depend on that
Right.
situation.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
And Frank, I will tell you right now, there's an awful lot of state legislation that is dictating the need for water line replacement, water line and sewer line replacement, and gas line replacement. It's not like they're just deciding to do it. There's a whole lot of legislation happening right now that's dictating that and requiring replacement of water lines and sewer lines.
Yeah, I understand that. But I
It's
just,
not just Columbia, it's all over.
I
Not that it makes it right.
understand they have a job to do. I just was wondering how they do it. Do we get the permit fees? Do they have special rules that I don't, that I don't? Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wanted to speak that didn't get a chance to sign up? Yes.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I just got out of my wheelchair
Right.
walker. I'm
That's great.
doing better. I wanted to ask, was there a study done about parking structure here in town?
Yes.
How long ago was that? Do you know?
5 years, no,
No,
it's
before 16 or 17.
2019.
2019? Is it still valid?
Oh, well, it estimated, what was that, Eric? Remember the
It was low.
estimated lifespan of it?
No.
It was like, it estimated the needs within, I think, 20 years.
Oh, really? So
Yes.
it would be still valid?
Yes.
All right. Did you have a RACP grant to do that?
Not to do a parking structure, no.
Okay. So there isn't any RACP grant? Someone told me there was a RACP.
There is a RACP grant, yes.
But it's not for the parking structure.
It would, no, we would not have enough to do the parking structure.
All right, and you don't have to update the study?
No.
All right, so what do you need to get started on the parking structure? What has to happen? I'm asking as a citizen.
We would need to decide that that's what we wanted to do. We would need to find a location for it, probably purchase land. And a whole lot of money.
Mhm.
And even that the study on that estimated that it would take 150 years to recoup the cost of a parking structure.
150 years?
Yes. Yes, because you're taking prime real estate off the tax rolls as
Well,
well.
what if you're using thing that's being, an area that's being used as a parking lot already?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just telling you what was in the
Okay.
You'd have to get, if it's not the borough's land, you'd have to get for some kind of public partnership, or public-private partnership with whoever owns that land.
Okay.
And that was talk that, I was council president way back when it was done. And, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. But yeah, you'd have to start there, and that's, if they still want to do it or not.
Is it possible for a citizen to see the study at all, or am I able to see that?
Mhm.
What would I have to do that?
Just give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll dig it up for you.
Isn't
and-
it on the
It's not
borough
online.
website? It used to be.
It's
On the
not
borough
online, it should be on
website.
the site. Can we get it on the site? We could do that.
I think it was on at one time. It might still be there.
Yeah, because it also discussed, permit parking in the neighborhoods, and it did not recommend that. It also discussed adding, lines to designate parking spaces in the neighborhoods, and it did not recommend doing that because it said we would lose parking and different things, so.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate
You know, just to add to that, it's ongoing, as a matter of fact. The Underground Railroad Museum Committee has recently discussed a small parking garage, another level on the property they look to buy, and also talked about some other properties. And the figure, I'm not going to give you an exact figure, but I'm going to give you a ballpark. The figure that was quoted to them was over $20,000 per parking space. So that goes back to what
Yep.
Yeah, that's about,
Council President
Yeah,
said.
I think that's
that's
like
about what it
the-
was back then, too.
that's the
Somewhere
amount.
around, I wanted to say 24, but I'm going to be safe and say over $20,000 per space.
That's incredible.
But I can tell you, there is some discussion going on right now about parking and some other options. And the parking garage is not off the table, but realizing the amount of money, it's going to be,
Could we get grant money for that, or any kind of money toward that? I mean, obviously, it's not gonna pay for itself.
Right. Yep.
So if we were to apply for, is there money funding we can apply for?
Oh, there's money you can apply for all kinds of stuff, yes.
Okay.
you know, and there's some discussion about public-private partnership,
Yeah,
things like that. So it's not, parking is an issue.
yes, it is.
Parking is not a dead issue. It's being discussed. And I don't want to go any further on what
I
some of the thoughts
appreciate
are.
that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Minutes for approval. The first one we have is approval of the Borough Council / Planning Commission joint meeting minutes. It has been altered from what's in your packet, just to add an additional signature line for Brad Lynn for Planning Commission. Because as it's minutes for both of us, we will both be approving those. Yes, Mary.
Harry Wickenheiser, Chair, Columbia Borough Planning Commission. Heather, I would ask that you table the approval of these minutes. Just even based on the minutes that I printed out. Number 3 that you have there, target range, indoor, not permitted, outdoor, special exception. That's the total reverse of
Yeah,
what we
that's wrong.
discussed. You know, I would truthfully, we have a planning meeting next Tuesday. I would like to go over these with my planning commission. And I think you were forwarded a document that I put together from our March 20th meeting. And that was based on what we did that evening. And I actually took the time, and I was able to understand enough. I went through the video twice of our meeting, our joint meeting, And what I put together from that March 20th meeting is what I came out of that meeting, what we had agreed to that night. And since then, I have at least one of my planning commission members who has gotten back to me and agrees that what I had put together is what we had decided on as the actions on the tables of permitted uses, adding the medical marijuana. We also would need to add those definitions from that ordinance to the definitions in the zoning ordinance. We did come up with a definition for a data center that we will be able to include in our definitions. You know, there's some things that, I'll be truthful, I've been working on trying to put together that when we put this through, we're going to be able to cover everything. I know Mayor Lutz would like to see us put the definition in there for the tattoo body piercing, and to be able to put that into into the table of permitted uses. I think there's still some work that needs to be done on this. And I think those changes need to be made to these minutes because those things were discussed at that meeting. Not necessarily the tattoo and body piercing, but those other things were discussed at that meeting and need to be part of it.
Yeah, you're right. The target range, that's completely opposite.
Yeah,
of what
that's
we approved.
completely opposite of what we
Yeah,
we
we
had
wanted
discussed.
indoor as special exception and
Right.
outdoor is not permitted.
not permitted, you know, so
Yeah, there's a couple other things that are not.
And I think I know that you were forwarded that document that I put together and see if that agrees with what, I think I just termed it March 20th. And then my question, since the solicitor's here this evening, all of these changes are going to have to be advertised and part of a eventual zoning hearing. And I think they will also have to go down to Lancaster County Planning for their review prior to that. One of the things with the special exceptions, the member of my planning commission feels that we should be able to move forward with making these changes and defining the special exceptions at a later date. That not hold up these changes or defining the special exceptions.
If you have special exceptions that don't have any specific criteria, all that special exception request would be judged upon at the zoning hearing.
Correct.
Would be the general criteria that are found in the MPC.
Right.
You could, I don't think there's anything legally wrong with doing that. I'm not sure I would advise that.
I know we don't want to do that, but we don't want to hold this up.
How many special exception criteria are you looking at? How many different definitions?
What were we looking at? Maybe three, four. The target range was one. The package delivery was one.
Well, I thought we already had.
The target range was good.
I think we already have that special exception written.
Well, that's part, the target range, when you go into, I'm going back to 22030, the target range, actually, there are two references there to outdoor and a reference to indoor. So there is a special exception there for that. I know that the package delivery was one.
Yeah, the package delivery and warehouse
Right.
is the one special exception, and we figured both of those would have the same
Right.
criteria.
I mean, I would say see what you can do, because obviously, right, you do amendments to the zoning ordinance, not an overnight process, right? By the time
Right.
you look at it again, by the time the Lancaster County Planning Commission looks at it, I would also say, don't reinvent the wheel.
But
There
that
are going to be a
was
lot
my
of,
comment that night,
Right.
and
I
I
think
have been,
that's the only one we need is the warehouse.
I've been looking, I'll tell you, Justin Evans is the one who is on my planning commission. He is zoning officer for a municipality. He has been looking for these special exceptions for those warehousing
Yeah.
and the package delivery, and he's not finding them.
Okay.
I'm not finding them.
I will, I live in a township and Derek represents a township that has almost nothing but warehouses at this point, unfortunately, and they have kind of grappled with that. So I'll take a look and see what they have come up with. It might be helpful for you guys because they've gone through that boom in warehousing for the last 15 years or so.
Yeah, like I said, we have found a definition for data center, which I think is acceptable that we'll be able to use. But I would ask that you table action on these minutes this evening. There is the one error in there as noted, and my question is, should all these changes that we approved, that we felt we wanted to make, should they all be listed as part of those minutes? Referencing back to that document I put together, just because what that document did was broke out all the changes we wanted to make to the different ones. So, and I don't know if this is a case where maybe there's myself, Paula, Steve, I don't know who else, maybe someone from council, we need to sit down and hash this out to get to the final product. Because there were also some recommendations made by Justin as to moving that large solar out of that section of the table to another section, and he actually made a recommendation for that. So if you decide you would like to sit down, get together, and see if we can really finalize this, and
Yeah, because the other thing I see wrong in the minutes is the remove the 40% maximum building coverage. We had decided that it was going to go to 85%.
Right.
And we also changed the minimum lot size as
Right.
well. And that's not reflected in these minutes either.
well, that would kind of be right, because remove the 40%, because what that would do is keep the 85% total impervious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is correct to just delete that 40%, because it would still leave the 85% impervious coverage. And the individual could be subdivided into 20,000 square foot minimum lots was to remain there. Those were the recommendations there. So at this point, I would ask you to table the approval of those minutes. I do thank you for adding the line for planning commission.
Yeah, I saw your thing and I was like, I was gonna email that and I completely forgot to email that it needs to be approved by both bodies.
All right. Sorry to take up so much
So
time.
wait, Mary, before you leave, did you send the copy of your notes to Steve?
I sent them to Paula, and she said she was going to distribute, so
Okay.
if you don't have,
Not yet, but you can get them from Paul.
okay, all right. Okay,
No,
thank you.
they were sent to council.
Yeah,
They were sent to all of council.
Yeah, I remember getting them.
Mhm.
But I just wondered if,
I might be in there.
You are, it went to you.
I
Looks like
knew
I
when
got
I,
them, Mary.
like, I got so many emails here.
when I sent them to Paula, she said she would disperse to council
She did.
and staff, and I sent them to my planning commission. Okay,
Good job,
thank you
Paula.
very much.
But Steve, I just wondered if it might be helpful to whoever types up the minutes to be able to look at Mary's notes as they're
We'll ask her
retyping
that.
Would anybody like to make a motion to table the approval of the Borough Council Planning Commission joint meeting minutes for March 20th?
I'll make the motion.
Or second.
A motion by Councilperson Murphy, second by Councilperson Geezy, to table the Borough Council Planning Commission joint meeting minutes from March 20th, 2025. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, could I have a motion to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for March 27th, 2025?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Price, to approve the Borough, or Fisher. I was looking at, your hand was moving and it,
Sorry, but that was.
sorry. I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Fisher, to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for March 27th, 2025. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, I have a motion to approve the Borough Council workshop minutes for April 1st, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Councilperson Geezy, second by Councilperson Murphy, to approve the Borough Council workshop minutes for April 1st, 2025. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Presentation and acceptance of reports, Public Works and Property, Councilperson Stahl.
Yes, I would like to acknowledge the receipt of the Public Works and Property Report from March 2025. And just point out that the street sweeper has gotten its fair share of dirt off our streets, coming to 44 tons in the first 3 weeks. So thanks, Jake, for getting the streets clean.
And yard waste pickup has begun on Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
And the Borough Farm is open the second and now the second and fourth Saturday of the month from 8 to 12. Mayor Lutz.
Yes, I have a couple of things. First thing I want to do this evening is read a proclamation designating April, correct, as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And I'm going to try to read this in small print, so bear with me. Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and impacts every person in the community. Sexual Assault Awareness aims to raise public awareness about sexual violence and educate communities about how to prevent it. The theme, Together We Act, United We Change, embodies the power of collective action in addressing and preventing sexual abuse, assault, and harassment. It emphasizes that when we unite, we significantly increase our ability to make meaningful positive changes. Sexual harassment, assault, and abuse take many forms. It can happen to anyone. Establishing a foundation understanding of sexual violence and its effects is essential to challenging misconceptions. Consent, healthy communication, and bystander intervention are key strategies that have proven to empower individuals and communities to protect one another and foster respectful and safe environments. Statistics show the estimate lifetime cost of rape is $122,461 per victim. Nearly 2 in 5 LGBTQ plus young people, that's 39%, reported experiencing forced sexual contact. More than 1/4 of male victims who completed rape experienced their first rape when they were 10 years of age or younger. Child sexual abuse is the strongest predictor of adult sexual victimization. Experiencing sexual abuse as a minor is correlated with children and adolescents as being more likely to experience sexual assault in adulthood. 32.9% of adults with intellectual disabilities have experienced sexual violence. Most female victims of completed rape, that's 79.6%, experienced their first rape before the age of 25. 42.2% experienced their first completed rape before the age of 18. As statistics show, sexual assault is costly and disproportionately impacts those with disabilities, youth, and oppressed groups. As such, we must strive to create strong, connected communities that take care of one another and make decisions to ensure the safety and well-being of others to end sexual violence. Together, we act with purpose. United, we have the power to change the world for the better or even the lives of so many people who were impacted by sexual assault. As we move forward, let us remain devoted to our commitment to justice and equality, knowing that our collective efforts will create a safer, more inclusive world for future generations. We join advocates and communities across the country in taking action to prevent sexual violence. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and each day of the year is an opportunity to create change for the future. So we have two guests with us tonight, and thank you for getting this to me. By the way, do you have anything you want to say? If I may?
Hello. Thank you so much for your support with the proclamation for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. My name is Kim Snyder. I am a therapist and educator with the YWCA Lancaster Sexual Assault Prevention and Counseling Center. And we provide services that are no cost basically to anyone in the community who is a victim or survivor of sexual abuse, harassment, or assault. We provide counseling, therapy. We also have medical advocacy and legal advocacy. And then we also have a 24-hour hotline. And we also have a small satellite office right here in Columbia for counseling and therapy services. It's right down the street, right on Locust Street. So, but yeah, I wanted to thank you so much for your support and for reading the proclamation. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I think they wanted to get a picture. You want to do that now so you don't have to hang around? Okay. You may regret that. Okay. As I said earlier, I have a letter that I was asked to read. And it reads, "We have received an email and a call about the shelter that was removed. Not sure it was the same person, but see the email below. I want to make sure that the correct information is being presented to the public, which is South Central Transit Authority was contacted by Chief Brommer to request that the shelter at 3rd and Locust be removed due to vagrancy, safety, and hygiene issues. Since this shelter was funded with federal funds, we are required to keep the shelter in service for its useful life, which is 15 years. This shelter has met its useful life, and so it was eligible to be replaced or removed. South Central Transit Authority contacted Rabbit Transit to make them aware of the shelter removal and hear any concerns they had. They had no concerns. South Central Transit Authority has a contact with a company to install and remove our shelters. South Central Transit Authority had our contractors remove the shelter. While South Central Transit Authority had ownership and maintenance of this shelter, we fully support Columbia in your decision to request that South Central Transit Authority remove the shelter. We always want to coordinate with the needs of the municipality. It is unfortunate that the poor choices of a few people have resulted in the loss of this amenity for the rest of the community. I ask that this information be presented at the Borough Council meeting tomorrow." So there it is. Now, let me say, I don't care how it was removed. I do care that it was removed. For 20 years, up until this year, well, my wife and a friend took care of the flowers and things around here, including those at the bus stop. Many times, more in the near future than in the past. I was contacted by them and read the riot act because of the conditions of that bus stop. When that bus stop was put in, it was put in with, as you've seen, a federal grant, but it was a cooperative with an advertising agency and Red Rose at that time, Transit Authority. The deal was that the advertising agency would clean and maintain the bus shelter. They were putting them all around the county. And that the sides of it, there was space to put billboards, basically, and that's where they were going to receive the funding to do the things they had to do. Columbia Borough was also told that if they were empty, we had the right to fill those spaces with advertising of our own. As time went on, the advertising agency kind of went by the wayside, and South Central Transit Authority picked up the maintenance of the shelter. So did Columbia Borough. Columbia Borough put a lot of time in maintaining that shelter. The problem with the shelter and the unsanitary and unhealthy condition that existed there, we feel was due to the way the structure was built. It had a back wall that someone could go behind. If you look at it today, the shelter is removed and you can see through there. Nothing says, and there was discussion, could we modify the shelter to keep the canopy on and possibly open up the sides so we eliminated that area where someone could hide and commit these acts. It couldn't be done. And as noted here, it had outlived its usefulness over time. I'm not opposed, and I don't think the chief is opposed or anybody else is opposed, that we could put some type of structure there that's open all the way around the sides, but provides shelter from rain or snow. With that, we have done this in the past, that if it's inclement weather and the borough offices are open, people are welcome to stand in the lobby and go out and get on the bus when the bus pulls up. We've done this. I've told people this. We maintain a public restroom for them when we're open that people can use, and they use it. Even during the car show and things like that there, we maintain that public restroom. You know, a church 2 doors up the street had twice now that I'm aware of, had someone defecate on the front steps of that church. You know, this is a little out of hand. You know, it got a little out of hand. I'm not hearing it now. And you know what else is funny? I have not heard any comments from those that ride the bus. I think they're glad that there's a sanitary place there now for them and a clean place for them. But we will look at what we can do. But we can't have riders, people who work for us, we can't ask our employees to clean up those kind of messes. It's unsafe, it's unsanitary. So we didn't have any choice. It has to go. It had to go. And hopefully we can make it better. And that's all I have to say about that.
Leo, could I just tag on for
Sure,
one quick
please.
second on that?
Please do.
Because there's been a lot of, you know, the finger pointing, oh, Jack, it's your fault. Oh, it's this, you know, and they're online, a lot of comments. Council had everything to do with this. This was all council's fault. I just want to say that, first of all, council had no knowledge that it was happening before it happened. And second of all, I don't care about the semantics, but we support our employees, and we do not want any of our employees to have to go out on a daily basis and clean up human excrement because people can't do things appropriately. There's no reason we should have to go out and clean things off of the walls of a bus stop because people can't go where they're supposed to. I mean, I'm not going to ask our employees to do that.
And I'm going to say, I'm going to stick my neck out here, but I'm going to say, with regards to our homeless folks, I don't think it came from those folks that are in our shelter seeking help. I think it comes from transients or people who just live like animals.
Yep.
And as noted here from South Central, it's a shame that some people have to lose because of the acts of others. But we'll try to make it better.
Yep.
I wasn't going to bring this up tonight, but I'm so excited. I had a good day today.
Oh.
Couple things, and you can talk about these at the workshop next month. I was at the STEM program today up at the high school. It was outstanding. I want them to do more to be able to involve more people. They have the ability, without going into it in specifics, but they have the ability to make anything you need made or they want to make up there. Metal shop, wood shop, 3D printer, laser etcher, robotic controlled mill, those kind of things. And then they get involved with planning, the environment, things like that. Later on in the day today, they went down to Columbia Crossing. A group went to Columbia Crossing, a group went to Sod's Metal Recycling. And at the Columbia Crossing, they learned how to make a fishing lure and test it out in a tank. They worked with the bicycle shop down the street here on how to repair bicycles and put bicycles together. And they took a trip up the trail, and obviously they were out at Sod's, seeing how Sod's works. It's their goal to run our students through this program and then integrate them out into business, kind of like an apprenticeship type thing, where they get a chance to test out, see if they like this or they like that, whatever have you, and possibly set some goals for them later on in life. With that, several ideas came up. Eric, I wish your wife was here tonight. The 300th anniversary. I'm talking to them about the 300th anniversary. They can make anything that organization needs. T-shirts, mugs, medallions, medals. They can make all that stuff. And my thought was they could make that stuff and possibly sell it at the market house. Am I right? Good. The other issue that came up, I said to them, since I've been mayor, we have tried numerous times to have a newsletter. And we always got one or two issues, and then it fell apart for one reason or other. And I said, would it be possible for your students to basically be the newsletter editor and put this newsletter together, the layout, whatever have you? Obviously, to print that many copies, they couldn't handle it, but they could get them to a printer. They came back to me and said, we could probably go one better. We could get the students to interview people and write the articles. I mean, this is exciting to me, and I hope it's exciting to you. So I want to talk more about this at our next workshop and get with the 300th anniversary committee to see what they can do. I was totally blown away at the things that they made up there, the signs and things like that there. I think to me, it's one of the bright spots we have going on right now involving our kids in the schools. You know, not everyone's college material, But I'm a firm believer that everyone has a skill. It's just a matter of finding it. And I think through some of the programs they have up there, some of these kids will find that skill and go on to be better young people. Thank you.
That's good news.
Nothing. Thank you.
Nothing, chief? All right. Frank, we're coming up on action items.
I understand.
That's not the part to comment
I
on.
understand that you added to the mayor's list. I didn't know if it was open to the public or not.
No. Action items. Approve, do I have a motion to approve the bill payments?
So,
A motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Murphy to approve the bill payments. Questions, comments?
I had a question on, let's see which page, page number 4, the Insurance Services United Premium Audit.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering if that was a one-time thing, or is that an annual audit?
For,
EMC Premium Audit, $992, page 4.
yeah, I'm looking here.
It's our workers' comp, so I would think that's probably just once a year.
Yeah.
So it says 2024 to 2025.
Yeah,
So that's looking like.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
I'll get you confirmation over here.
And that's like a third-party required audit, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
That's the company that bought out that used to be J-Lit's Insurance in town.
Yeah.
Here in New York.
Yeah, and that was, yeah, that's the, actually, it's 2 years. They do the workman's comp insurance every 2 years.
Okay.
So. Yeah. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Murphy to approve the bill payments. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Next, Derek was gonna have this on for the 22nd, and he called me last week and said we had to do it because we had to authorize it this week because of the CDBG requirements. So we're being asked to authorize staff to advertise the 1000 block of Walnut Street CDBG project for public bids. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Murphy to authorize staff to advertise the 1000 block of Walnut Street CDBG improvements project for public bids. Are there any questions, comments? I told Derek there was no need for him to be here. This is pretty standard. We do this every year. I have a motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Murphy to authorize staff to advertise the 900 to 1000 block of Walnut Street CDBG improvement project for public bid. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. And I see that the water company is working on that corner, which is what we wanted to happen, so. All right, new business. We have yard waste agreements that are updated for this year, and they reflect the fee schedule change of $5 per ton, from $35 per ton to $40 per ton for all yard waste brought into our facility. Are there any questions? Does anyone have a problem voting on this tonight?
This is to cover, an increase to cover costs. Right?
This is the increase to cover costs, and I have all the agreements here. they've all been signed by the municipalities. This is just approving our signature. All right, do I have a motion to approve the updated yard waste agreements to reflect the fee schedule change?
So moved.
The motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Geezy, to approve the updated yard waste agreements to reflect the fee schedule increase of $5 per ton from $35 to $40 for all yard waste brought into our facility. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, we're asked to consider Resolution 2025-007, authorizing staff to sell by auction a 2001 Chevrolet dump truck. Are there any questions on this? And we're going to advertise this one ourselves, correct? Or we're not going to go through Enterprise?
No, this will go through Enterprise, but we're still required to.
Okay.
put a legal notice.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
to put the legal notice.
Okay,
We've done
yeah.
it several
Okay,
times now, so we
yeah.
kind of know what's going on. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, so it's gonna go through Enterprise, but we need to advertise it for sale. Are there any questions from the table? Frank?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's my understanding this dump truck is one of the vehicles that was accepted when the sewer plant shut down. This belonged to the sewer plant. This wasn't in our leasing program whatsoever. And I just have a problem when you sell something like this, any of the vehicles, but this mostly being it's not a part of that program, that you would not give the public here in the borough a chance at buying this, which they are the ones that helped buy that originally, helped pay for all the maintenance and everything to that truck. Why would you not give your people that you are in charge of, that you want to see benefit from these kind of things? Now, to make things worse, this goes to an auction that is run by dealers. You've got to have a dealer's license in order to bid on this. That makes matters worse. And usually when you go to the auction, they buy these a lot cheaper than what is normally, a person normally would pay for it. We don't know what the difference would be if the Columbia Borough put it up for sale. But why, give me a reason why you would not give your people, the borough, your taxpayers, a chance to bid on something like this. Why you would not run that through the borough. Now, agreed, you got to advertise and now you got to open the bids and you've got some work to it, but it just does not make sense to me.
When we brought Enterprise in, they did an inventory of our vehicles, and we agreed upon a contract of what vehicles would be sold back through Enterprise and what vehicles they would replace. I believe this dump truck was replaced by Enterprise already, right?
No, it wasn't.
I wasn't.
But I will say, this truck originally was from the wastewater, but when we started with Enterprise, we'd already acquired that truck, the highway department. So this is the last one.
Regardless what agreement you made with Enterprise, you're in charge. You know, this wasn't a part of their deal.
It was part of the Enterprise agreement.
Yeah. Because this cost is then
It's a truck.
put back into the lease payments that you have, right? It's
Right.
and the idea of going to the auction where it goes is that puts it in front of the most number of eyes for what this is, right? I mean, I think I have seen the numbers after we've advertised, because I've always asked Mark or Steve how they did, and these vehicles are doing great where you're sending them. You're getting far more than when Enterprise originally came here, far more than what they what they estimated they were worth. So that's the idea, is to get it in front of the most number of people possible who understand what they're bidding on, and get that number, get as much money back for the borough as possible to help the taxpayers out, right? That's the idea, to get the most money possible.
And you're right, we have done really well
Yep.
Yeah,
with those
this
vehicles.
is an older truck. I really don't understand why you're pushing for enterprise. What are you talking about into the payment system? This truck has been paid for long ago.
But the money that you make on that truck is put right back into the enterprise lease payments that you have on the vehicles you have now to help reduce those lease payments as they move forward. That's the idea of the fleet management system.
So if you don't use that money out of that truck, it's going to come out of the general fund or somewhere else. What's the difference? You're not doing your citizens a favor by taking it to enterprise. Now you say it's in front of a bunch of people, more buyers, maybe you want to call it. But they buy at a reduced rate. They have a dealer's license. They buy so they can resell. As a matter of fact, most of the trucks that I know of that were sold through the borough, they end up coming back to a dealer here in Columbia, and the dealer sold them. So I don't know what kind of money they got, but they were more later models. This is an older model, and it had nothing to do with that. When you people sit down and made that agreement, maybe that's another sweetheart deal that you shouldn't have made.
To me, the deal, what I was told, the deal's already in place, and this vehicle was part of that agreement. So I know what you're saying about our responsibility to the citizens of this borough. Our responsibility as the citizens of the borough is to get as much as we can for this truck, to reduce our payments as much as we can.
You
That's
can't,
what our first responsibility is.
Kelly, you can't tell me the difference of what you get if you get what you get at the auction, what you get here, because it's not sold. If you did it both ways, we could argue that point, but that's a poor point.
It's not a poor point to me, Frank. That's good.
Well, it is to me, and to me, whoever made the sweetheart deal with the leasing agencies, which I think somebody's making a lot of money off the borough.
So Evan, am I correct that community members can submit bids?
They can go through it. Frank is correct. It's a dealers only auction.
Okay.
So you could get in contact with someone who has a dealer's license and tell them, I'd be willing to bid up to this amount, and have them go to the auction for you.
Right.
Yeah.
If they would do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a fee.
Okay.
But we shouldn't have had to go through this. We should have had common sense people when they sit down at the table and made this deal.
Are there any other questions on this? Would anyone like to make a motion to, does anyone have a problem voting on it tonight? No? All right, I have a motion by Councilperson Brigard. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Brigard, second by Councilperson Stoll to adopt Resolution 2025-007, authorizing staff to sell by auction the 2001 Chevy dump truck. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, staff reports, comments, and announcements. Solicitor Gable.
I don't really have much to add tonight. I was hoping to have the senior parking permit for you tonight. By Thursday of last week, I just wasn't quite happy with what I had, but I plan on getting that to Kelly and to Steve in the next couple of days so they can take a look at it and have authorization to advertise at the April 22nd meeting so we don't lose too much time. But I felt like it was better to get it right rather than rush it and try to get it in for this meeting. So.
Secretary Treasurer.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Boards, commissions, and committees, upcoming meetings. Barb is tomorrow evening, the 9th. Parks and Rec is Thursday, the 10th. Planning Commission has a workshop on Tuesday, the 15th at 6 p.m. and a regular meeting right after that at 7 p.m. And the Shade Tree Commission meets on April 28th. Yes.
River Park will be meeting on the 24th of April, 4 p.m.
All right, the River Park Advisory Committee will be meeting, you said the 24th April 24th at 4 p.m. down at the Columbia Crossing Building. In your packet, there's approved minutes from LASSA from February 2025. Borough Council comments, Councilperson Bogard. Councilperson Fisher.
I would just like to say, just in recognition of Mary's comments regarding the meetings, and I believe it was a few weeks ago that a person from the community commented on the minutes that they read and how they are lacking some information that that person thought was pertinent. And I would just like to add that, I do feel that the minutes need to reflect more of what's being discussed. And I don't say this without full knowledge that there are many duties that our admins are involved in, and I fully acknowledge that, and I don't know what the solution is, but I have to agree that I think our minutes need to be a bit more detailed on what is going on, and that's all I have to say.
Councilperson Kaufman.
I have nothing.
Nothing I see.
Just was thinking about it after the question about the parking garage and the RACP funds, that the second half of our RACP funds, should we receive the first reimbursement, the phase 2 was for downtown parking improvements. But just to clarify, it was not for a parking garage. It's really a drop in the bucket. I think is it 400,000 towards downtown?
Yeah.
Just traffic flow, signage, parking meters, which we have recently had discussion on. Not necessarily putting a lot of money into new kiosk or things like that. So just to clarify. Yep.
All right. I received an email earlier today from Brian Gish. He is a senior watershed planner in the Pennsylvania office of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and he is working on a plan to improve the health of 13 small streams flowing into the Susquehanna between Chickies Rock and Safe Harbor Dam. He is, I guess, looking if anyone is interested in joining his committee to work on these streams, one of which is Strickler Run, which goes through the McGinnis. Another is Shawnee Run, which goes through the borough as well. If anyone's interested in joining the committee to work on on this small stream plan, let me know, and I'll give you the email to him and how you can get in touch with him.
Is this open to community members as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got that email as well.
Oh, did you? Did you guys all get it?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if everyone got it or not, because it just
Can't see.
I can't see. So I wanted to throw that out there. I had previously been talking with one of the supervisors at West Hempfield Township. We have been discussing the possibility of doing stream restoration project in Strickler Run, because it goes through 3 municipalities. Because it starts in Mountville Borough, goes through West Hempfield, and goes through Columbia. So we had been talking about that already. So there's that. I made a mistake on the agenda. The announcement of next meeting at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 22nd. Council will hold a regular meeting. And that's going to pretty much be the Derek show. There's going to be a whole lot of public works stuff at that meeting. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Geezy, to adjourn at 8:09 p.m. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? We are adjourned.